Not starting yet, but I didn't get down to shake your hand, but thank you for being here. Okay, all right, it is 4 o'clock and time for the Board of County Commissioners to convene its Washington County Commission meeting. And we will begin our meeting with an invocation by Tim Martin of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he will be followed with a Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by Jim Haney. He's a retired sergeant of the United States Marine Corps. We'll proceed.
Before I offer the prayer, I would like to invite the commission and everyone to two events happening on the second Saturday in November, November 9th. First is the annual crop walk that the St. George Interfaith Council puts on. Communities responding to overcome poverty. And people come, make a donation. We walk 6 miles on the trail from Larkspur Park in Bloomington Hills, President Almquist territory, just down the street from Dean's house. But Dean, you'll be out of pocket then. So, but Victor, either of you, you're welcome to come and help launch the walkers, because they walk 6 miles. And along the walk, there are 5 refreshment tables by different churches. So you can actually go on this hunger walk and put on weight. We're the best fed hunger walkers in America.
That sounds like my kind of walk.
It
I'm
is,
really starting
yes.
to catch on to this.
And then that evening, 7 o'clock, November 9th, in the Tabernacle is the St. George Interfaith Choir Veterans Day concert. And it's just going to be excellent. We've been practicing already. And so anyway, the Interfaith Council and Interfaith Choir are alive and well, and we're delighted to be part of this community, and the service goes on and on. And thank you for your service and support. So please join me in prayer.
Thank you.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful this day that we belong to this wonderful land. We're thankful for the gifts thou hast given us that we might live here in Washington County and be part of this wonderful community. We're mindful this day of the needs of the community, needs of the commissioners. We pray a special blessing upon Commissioner Cox as he deals with his challenges, and upon all of us as we struggle to make good choices, to listen to those promptings that we hear that will help us make good choices. We're thankful for good friends and for the opportunity we have to associate with good people that will help us to learn and do those things that will bless our lives and bless the lives of our community. We ask thy blessing, thy spirit, thy invocation to be with those who might participate in today's meeting, that they too might be inspired to make good choices, to help lead our county and our community in a direction that will bless all of us. And this we ask in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Sergeant Haney.
First, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for being invited. For being down here, so started. Fortunately, I'll have to be on my way because my wife has already given me orders. So, if you would please stand and face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, I will leave you.
And thank you for your
Thank you very
dedicated
much.
service
Thank
to our
you.
nation.
Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Commissioners, we will begin this meeting with the first item of business being our consent agenda. The consent agenda is a means of expediting routine matters which come before the Commission for its consideration. The consent portion of the agenda is approved by one non-debatable motion. If any commissioner wishes to remove an item from the consent portion of the agenda, that item becomes the first order of business on the regular agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I can read the consent agenda as follows. Item A, the consideration of auditor-approved claims for payment for September 18th, 2019 through October 1st, 2019. Item B, consideration of regular commission meeting minutes of September 17th, 2019. Item C, consideration of administrative adjustments for personal property. Item D, consideration of applications for property tax abatement. Item E, consideration of extension for contract 68-8 D43-14-6 between Washington County and the NRCS for the gypsum wash debris basin. Item F, acknowledgement of publishing the notice of adoption of ordinance number 2019-1146-0 and ordinance number 2019-1147-0 on
Mr. Chairman,
Saturday.
I will second that motion.
Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded to accept today's consent agenda. All in support, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We will now go on to our regular items for the commission's consideration. Ray, you always lead the charge on consideration of purchase requests, so take it away.
It's because spending money is the most important thing, right?
You know, it's one of the things I've noticed that you're very, very good at.
I just have one today. It is for a set of restrooms out of the shooting sports park for the rifle pistol range in a total of $49,802.
Thank you. You're coming in with a light load this time.
I am. Nice.
Commissioners, are there any questions for Ray on the restroom at the shooting sports park?
I'll just make one point. Part of this is coming out of an NRA grant that needed to be taken, and we needed to get it ordered. There was a time for it to get ordered as well, so.
Well, thank you for your leadership. I know that you spend a lot of time on shooting sports park business, and getting grants to help offset these costs benefits the county's residents. It benefits the visitors and shooters at the shooting sports park, so I think it'll be a great improvement.
It will.
Are you making a motion?
Yes,
in support of it?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the purchase request that's been outlined.
Thank you.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the purchase order as presented. All in support, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Our next item of business is consideration of resolution number R 2019-2515, a resolution of appointment of a Washington County representative and an alternate representative for the Utah County's Indemnity Pool annual membership meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address this. So the buildings and the procedures that the county goes through that is needed to be covered by insurance is covered through an indemnity pool, which is a pool of Utah counties that come together in order to help share in the cost of these insurances. And we have a membership on that board. It's important that we every year, through resolution, appoint that member to the board and also an alternate to that board. And so with this resolution, the appointment would be Commissioner Dean Cox and as the member on the board, and myself, Commissioner Iverson, as the alternate.
Thank you.
And that would be my motion.
The alternative to
The
humanity.
Yeah, exactly.
You look alike.
Yeah, I just read a few too many letters on alternate. So
Well, I move that we pass resolution number R 2019-2515, appointing Dean Cox as the official Washington County representative for USIP with Victor Iverson as the alternate.
Thank you.
thank you. I will second that, Mr. Chairman.
That motion has been made and seconded. All in support of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 3. This is consideration of resolution number R 2019-2516, a resolution approving the purchase of 22.73 acres of land in the Red Cliffs Desert Reserve. And I'll go ahead and introduce this topic to our commissioners. First, I'd like to kind of give a report that acquisitions are being made at a faster clip than I've ever seen in the 20-plus years that I've had some contact and interface with the private in holdings. It is just a breath of fresh air to see this land coming from private into public ownership. And one of the main reasons that we've seen so much of that is some motivation by the landowners and a recognition that at some of the appraised values we've seen in the past, it was just hard for anyone to come up with funds to do that. A new appraisal process has lowered that cost into a much more manageable area, and that has even been really lowered by this private landowner making significant private contributions that are tied to the sale. In other words, if you buy this much, I'll donate this much. Now, we are applying for some Section 6 grant funding, and the Section 6 grant funding requires a county match, or a local match. And last year in our budget process, we set aside $1 million to keep this process moving along. We're now in September. I can't believe how rapidly this year has gone by, but we have an opportunity to use that $1 million to acquire 22.73 acres, and we will be able to use that acquisition as our portion of the local match on the Section 6 grant. And so instead of using cash, we're going to use the land that we acquire. And this is continuing that process. Mr. Brennan has already made his donation to the county. He's got a quitclaim for 40 acres that comes directly to the county. Some went to Hurricane, and others went, I think the city of Washington was the other third party. And then we will all quitclaim that back over to the BLM. But he's held up his end of the bargain, and it's time for us to now do our side of it. And so I would speak in support of, but I will allow you to make the motions.
Well, I just echo your sentiments, Commissioner Cox, and give you credit for moving this along. There was a time when all of us felt somewhat discouraged on whether we'd. It was like an ox in the mire or something. It was but we have, under your leadership, made tremendous progress, and I really see the light at the end of the tunnel on resolving the in-holdings with the Desert Reserve. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd happily like to make the resolution, or make the motion that we adopt resolution R-2019-2516, a resolution approving the purchase of 22.73 acres of land in the Desert Cliffs Reserve, so Red Cliffs Desert Reserve.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Almquist. It's been moved and seconded in support of Resolution 2019-2516. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Now, just one note for the public, the contribution coming from the county does come from funds that are set aside for the endangered species.
Not
It's
property
not
tax
property
money
tax.
either. This money is from our HCP budget, which is funded from impact fees. And this new growth is able to happen because of our HCP agreement that allows us to develop lands that would otherwise be protected by the threatened status of the Mojave tortoise. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay, gosh, we got an exciting one coming up. This is number 4, consideration of resolution R 2019-2517. I think I saw Kevin pop in and then she's popped out again. So I've asked Council Member Jeff Carlson from Springdale, who has championed this to me for the last year and a half.
Wow.
The wheels of government move slowly, but they do grind with a lot of torque. And
Progress, gradual progress. I'm Jeff Carlson with the town of Springdale, and this resolution being considered is for the development of a much-needed visitor center up near Zion National Park in the town of Springdale. and also a collaboration with the town and the History Society for a History Center, which we believe holds high value to promote and maintain the heritage of the area as well as the cultural elements as visitors come to the greater Zion Canyon area. The efforts to establish this, as you mentioned, represent many months of work and collaboration with a number of important partners, including Zion National Park, the Paiute Indian Tribe of Utah, Springdale History Society, Zion Canyon Visitor Bureau, Zion Forever Project, Rotary Club of Zion, Springdale Elementary School, Z-Arts, and most importantly, the Greater Zion Tourism Office. So I'd like to thank the commissioners that I had the opportunity to meet with several months ago and discuss this project, and also Kevin Lewis and the Greater Zion Tourism team for their input and guidance on how to put this project together so that it would be a great asset for the county and for Springdale. The proposal that was approved by the Tourism Tax Advisory Board back in August illustrated how the project will support growth in tourism revenue, enhance visitor experiences within the Zion Canyon area, and help the Greater Zion tourism efforts to promote tourism and recreation throughout Washington County. Zion National Park, as you know, still attracts more than 4 million visitors a year, and we're looking forward to helping the Greater Zion tourism team leverage those visitors to learn about other recreational and tourism opportunities within Washington County. We believe that the Springdale Visitor and History Center represents an outstanding example of a joint municipal and county project that will serve as a valuable long-term tourism, historic, and cultural resource within Zion Canyon and for Washington County. And I'd like to thank you in advance for your support of this important project.
Thank you, Councilmember Carlson. Brittany, is there anything that you would like to add, or has Jeff covered that well? He did touch on the Tourism Tax Advisory Board and its recommendation. Is there, if you'd like to come up and tell us a little bit about that process and the size of the ask?
It's a pretty extensive application that they went through, and the presentation was excellent. It's a much needed facility for our area and for our visitors. And like Jeff said, we feel like it will be a really valuable tool for our office as well to kind of get the word out. Okay, today the canyon might be really full, so here are some other things that you could possibly do within the county, kind of spread out our visitors a bit. The ask was for $390,000 out of the tourism tax. And that was what the Tourism Advisory Board recommended to the commission.
Okay, thank you. I also failed, but would like to recognize Rick Wixom, the city manager from Springdale. Thank you for coming down. Is there anything you want to add to this, Rick?
No.
All right, any questions for
Brittany?
Brittany or any of our other Springdale entourage?
Well, Jeff has been a great champion on this, and I'd also just like to thank the town of Springdale because it's a great opportunity for the county to partner with the town, and that kind of reassures us to have them on as a partner, and so we appreciate them.
Question?
Go ahead.
Brittany, can you, for the record, indicate where these funds come from and how they're generated?
So these are tourism generated funds that come from visitors that visit Washington County, stay in our hotels, and contribute to the transient room tax, 4.25% that comes
And
back
this
to the
isn't
area.
property tax.
This
or
is not
tax that's
property
borne by
tax.
our
This is not
residents.
local tax. Yep, this is from visitors coming into our area, spending the night in a hotel. Mhm.
Okay. All right, commissioners.
I'm happy to make this motion, especially because I think a lot of visitors expect if they can't get to their final destination, what can I do? And a lot of them go to visitor centers. And if they're waiting to get into the park to go to that visitor center, it doesn't give them the full picture. Whereas I know that you're going to show them more of the local history as well as park history. So well worth the funds spent, and especially since people coming here have supplied the money to make their visit even better. So I move that we pass Resolution R 2019-2517, a resolution approving tourism funds to Springdale for a visitor and history center.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. All in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. One last comment that I'll make after this vote is I really enjoy the way that we've started leveraging these funds. And so as Councilmember Carlson went through the different groups that are participating and working to make this happen. Instead of this being a unilateral or a bilateral thing, we are bringing quite a team together to make this happen, and we get a lot more bang for our buck. And I think the partnership with our communities, again, is a model that we should follow and embrace. And so thank you for bringing this to our attention and giving us an opportunity to work with you to make something really great. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Okay, our next item of business is item number 5, consideration of resolution number R 2019-2518, a resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and Progressive Contracting, Inc. for the Enterprise Library parking lot, curbing, and paving project. Ron, are you going to tell us a little about that, or I got your name by it? Okay, we've got both. We've got, I should have seen that Joel was sitting there. So Joel, yeah, these glasses tint.
Well, I can tell you in Enterprise, one of the main reasons we want to do this is when it snows, the sun shines onto the building and kind of shadows the parking lot. So it ices up. We've had employees fall. We've had kind of a risky situation there. So we think by putting a parking lot on the sun side, it would help to melt the ice and make it less of a risk for people. And as we got into it, we started looking at, can we put handicap parking up there also as part of this project? Because right now it's on the shady side halfway down the building and not really close and easy access. So we could do that. We just had to do concrete to make that work better with the elevation. But we're pretty excited about that project and bidding it out. We had an engineer estimate, and it came in under the engineer estimate, so we're pretty excited about that.
That's great. So it's going to be warmer and melt the snow easier in the winter,
Yes.
and you'll be able to fry eggs sunny side up in the summer.
Well, then we had the other side of the building, too. We're not
Oh.
losing that parking.
Hey, super.
Eh?
Great. All right, any questions for Joel? And Ron, do you have an estimate on that price, or Joel, do you know exactly what really we're looking at?
That one came in at 40,000, something.
Okay, all right.
Well, having gone up to,
477.
having been up there to a library board meeting, and, you know, I love Enterprise anyway, but the library was very impressive. And what was encouraging the most was that the head librarian, for lack of a better term, she was so excited to see everybody that she was talking loudly. And I wanted to think, she's a library, you know. But she was so excited to invite everyone up to her facility, and, you know, it was impressive. So good job. With that, I should make the motion. Having said that, I'll move that we approve Resolution R 2019-2518, a resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and Progressive Contracting, Inc. for the Enterprise Library parking lot curbing and paving project.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioners. Motion has been made and seconded in support of Resolution 2019-2518. All in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 6, consideration of Resolution R 2019-2519, a resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and Progressive Contracting, Inc. for the new Harmony Library parking lot curbing and paving project. So, Joel, thank you for staying close.
I'm back.
Yeah.
So up in New Harmony, we put in a pavilion as part of the RAP tax project. And this is going to help polish that off a little bit and create parking for that pavilion. Right now it's gravel, and it gets pretty messed up pretty quick with our tractors parking in the parking lot. So we're looking to kind of help the roads department with the tractor parking to help keep it more smooth for winter time disruptions and really do good things. We were partnering with Rap Tax for $25,000, so this came in a lot more than what we were hoping and expecting at $46,000. Fortunately, I can work it and manage it a little bit in my budget for this specific thing as I work through the budget in other areas to try to make it work. So it is a lot higher than I expected, but I think the value of the project is worth it, and I would really like to consider approving it and moving forward with the project.
Joel, one of the things that I really respect and admire about you as a library director is the county owns some property up there where we have the library, and you've graciously let us put a park in there and now the gazebo. And again, this creates another one of the win-wins, because in addition to providing a service for our residents in the unincorporated area of New Harmony up there, and I'm sure that New Harmony residents will use it as well, and I hope they feel welcome to do that. This, I think, will help drive traffic into your library as well, and maybe for more than just the restroom. And so I think it's great to do these things, and I appreciate your leadership in letting this all happen. So thank you. Any questions for Joel?
No, Mr. Chairman, this is a great project, and I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2019-2519, a resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and Progressive Contracting, Inc. for the New Harmony Library parking lot curbing paving project.
Second.
Okay, and it's been moved and seconded that we accept Resolution 2019-2519. All in support of that, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
You know, Chair, I think it's important to note that all across the United States, libraries are actually closing, and especially rural libraries. Here we're just talking about two that we're improving and that are well attended. And so I know that goes back to leadership and funding, and you know, I'm impressed with what changes you're also making to get clientele in there for more than what they were going to a library 100 years ago or even 50 years ago for. So nice to see.
Okay. Item 7, consideration of resolution number R2019-2520. I'm going to pause there. Do you guys ever wonder what happens to the missing resolutions in there? This is a resolution approving a notice of grant and agreement award from the U.S. Department of Agricultural Natural Resources Conservation Service for the Emergency Watershed Protection Washington County, New Harmony, and Grass Valley project. And Ron, you're close there now.
This is some more EWP work from NRCS that they had put in a request for funding for some time ago, and we just barely got the notice that the funding had been approved. And for two projects, one in New Harmony, going to rebuild some of the areas we fixed up for them in their irrigation system before that got hit by some more flooding because of the burn scars on the mountain and kind of made a mess of that. So this will go back in and rework of that. And then the other one is in Grass Valley. Has to do with the Grass Valley Reservoir and some of the drainage facilities up there. They're going to help us fix up from the flooding we had up there, and that was affected too by the burn scars. So if you're okay with this, I'd like you to pass this resolution approving this contract, but as we speak, they're rewriting the contract, and the contract will be the exact same. It'll just have a different contract number on it. We missed the date on their fiscal year, which closed yesterday. So the money was pulled out of those accounts last night at midnight, put back into a pot, reallocated. It'll come back. It'll be the same contract, the same projects. It'll just have a different contract number on it.
Well, Brian, is there any recommendation for us as we pass this motion that we pass it with the recognition that will be assigned a different number than the one in our packets, but otherwise the same, or what would your recommendation be?
Yeah, I think you can do that, and then maybe say something subject to legal review to just verify that the terms of the contract are in fact the same as what's been approved and looked at here today.
Ron, what are our cost-sharing requirements?
Cost share on these EWP projects is 75% for NRCS and 25% for us, which is a
That's great.
really good deal. These are a little different. New Harmony's been through this before. Helped rebuild their irrigation system when we redid their water spring capture boxes up the canyon that got flooded several years
Fire.
ago from the
And then
fire.
subsequent flood.
And we really had to talk New Harmony into that. They wasn't too excited about having to pay a little bit. It turned out they were paying about $1 on what was like $100 worth of work to fix their whole irrigation system up. And when they were through, you had never seen such happy people. They had more water they knew what to do with because it all come out of ditches into a contained irrigation system, and they were talking about even allowing more water rights out. I think NRCS might have advised them not to get real excited until they made sure they had enough for what they were doing. But so they'll have to come up with some match. We'll have to figure out how we can help that way. And the Grass Valley one is an irrigation project up in there. Again, there are hopefully opportunities we can do some rock work in these and meet our match. It's primarily been how we've been able to do this.
Working.
Yeah, that's how we've been able to do all of this, and we will be in touch with you to make sure you're aware of what we're doing on that, so there's no chance of us not being able to meet our match, having to have funding for it without you guys knowing and approving.
Super. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2019-2520, a resolution approving a notice of grant and agreement award from the U.S. Department of Agriculture Natural Resource Conservation Service for the EWP Washington County, New Harmony, and Grass Valley project, subject to the fact that we will receive a new contract number and upon review of our legal department.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we accept R 2019-2520 as listed, subject to legal review. And we know that it would get a different contract number as well. All in support of the motion as amended, please say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Our item number 8, consideration of resolution R 2019-2521. Hey, we just found one of the missing links right there. A resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and Yesco for the new Legacy Park sign. Mr. Al-
I'd be happy to address this. You know, several months ago, we put out an RFP recognizing fully that the existing sign introducing Legacy Park and the Shooting Sports Park, as well as other services in the area that we affectionately know as Purgatory, was inadequate, and a new sign would not only enhance the area, but it would also replace what was failing. And so consequently, that RFP, luckily we have local sign companies that could step up and give us bids on such a large project, because in times past, we've often thought that our money was going out of the county to pay for signs companies coming off the Wasatch Front or something, and even though Yesco is statewide, in fact, across the entire West, it still also has local interests, local employees, and things like that. So part of the blessing of having those sign companies here is that we got quick response. They were part of the artwork, and they put forth their proposals, and almost from the get-go, one stood out, and although all were beautiful, we looked at the one that Yesco started as sort of the seed idea of how it would look and decided to go in that direction. And they have, with lots of input from us and from those involved with Purgatory, come up with a design that we've all come to agree upon. There might be a few tweaks here and there, but for the most part, this is the bid, and I believe, despite the fact that we've been admonished not to seek after a sign, in this particular case, we need one, And so, sorry. Anyway, this is a great opportunity to improve that area and both day and night direct people to the facilities there. So,
And Ryan Kane, who's representing YESCO, is here in the audience if anyone has any additional questions for
Thank you,
him.
Brian.
we haven't officially given you the job yet, but
I just think those who seek after a sign usually end up in purgatory anyway, so,
Yeah.
so it's,
Well, everybody's focusing on purgatory, but I'd like to recognize Nicole Fellshot,
yes.
who has really led the way in our rebranding effort. And I think she's doing a great job at getting it to Legacy Park, which is one of the reasons that we need this sign. And it's honoring and championing the different historical values and communities that we've had throughout the county. And so Purgatory is great. I think the Legacy Park is amazing, and Nicole has led the way on this rebranding effort for the buildings and for the sign. I recognize and appreciate it. We do. We all do.
Thank you.
Yep, great work there. All right, having said that, anything you want to add, anybody else, or I'll make a motion?
Make a motion.
make a motion.
Okay, then we should consider for approval Resolution R 2019-2521, a resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and YESCO for the new Legacy Park sign.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We've had a motion to approve our 2019-2521 as outlined. All in support of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Finally, we have consideration of approval of Public Works quarterly report. Ron, you stayed close to the mic. You're saving your shoe leather.
I was kind of thinking maybe you were going to tell Nicole she'd reserved a room in purgatory for all her good work out there. So. Anyway, our report basically for the past quarter is we've been swamped. That was because of the early spring. We were suffering the effects of that, and pretty much all of our outside departments, which is weeds, public works, road department, our inside departments have been busy too. We'll start with GIS. They're working on going through our database for our mapping stuff and finding some errors that are still occurring in that database for the parcels. They've ordered a new server that will be put in place through IT, and it will find those small data errors and allow them to go in and correct those data errors, which will make all of our mapping and data involved with the parcel maps more accurate to deal with. We've got a good working relationship between GIS and IT now, so that's been very helpful. We're looking and working with IT on a SQL Server to handle a database that deals with that. It's a new system we're going to that will really improve our mapping with the county too. Parcel maps, doing stuff on they call it Fabric. It's all new GIS stuff that we're looking at, waited and watched them test it in other areas to get the bugs out, and John feels confident we're ready to move on that area. So that's kind of where GIS is moving now. Weed department, they cut kind of behind in the spring weather like the road department did because everything was so wet. We couldn't get out off the roads to do much with it, and while he's waiting to spray, it was too wet to spray pre-emergent, so the weeds started to grow, so he's spraying, trying to kill them, the rain washing it off, and it's just been kind of a long summer trying to keep up with the weeds, and they were gaining on us pretty much everywhere. So we've had to spray some of the roads 2 and 3 times to keep the weeds down because they just kept coming up after we'd sprayed them. So we have a new person there that's kind of following in our weed department manager's footsteps, trying to learn his job. We're having some job lists created so we can ease him into that position and keep him going. And with Dale's tutoring, we hope he'll do a real good job in there like Dale has for the past several years. Dale will be back before us here another month or so to retire, bring him in, make him stand up here and face the crowd. So anyway, Public Works, we've been dealing with right-of-way issues, development reviews. Todd's been swamped. Randy's been busy, I've been swamped, Sue's been swamped, everybody's just trying to cover and prioritize and get everything done we can. Working on right-of-way issues, development reviews, NRCS projects, both the EWP and all the work we're doing on the debris basin repair and the new one over by Hurricane we're still working on now. We've been working on the shooting sports park. We're continuing to work on that. Starting to plan on some road improvements. We need to get your input on some rural high-impact roads that we want to see what we can do to start improving those next year as we go along, move along with that. The road department, in the past 3 months, done all the prep work and worked closely with Todd. Todd reviewed all the engineering plans and everything. We've got the Pinto Bridge replaced. Not a nice new wooden structure in there that meets the Forest Service plan, and done a good job with the bridge. They've got it all in place and taken care of, and did the low water crossing down below it while we were there working on that. It washed out, put it back in. Forest Service has got plans to try and raise the creek bottom, which will raise that low water crossing at some point, and they've agreed that they will take care of that as part of their process. They'll bring that crossing up with them as we go. Mesa Road, they've done a lot of work repairing Mesa Road to get it chip sealed. Road was in really bad state. It's chip sealed as of last week. Still take you out there anytime you want to go look at it. It's much improved from what it was before, so they've done a good job on that. They're still out right now trying to grade all the roads to make sure everything has been graded. Didn't get graded necessarily in spring because it was too wet. And summer work they got into doing the chip seal roads, so we're trying to stay caught up on that stuff. Chip sealing is all finished last week. So we've got several areas we've covered roads. The Mesa Road, we've got roads, Pine Valley Highway into Pine Valley, Dixie Deer Estates, we got roads in New Harmony that we've covered in there in Black Ridge. So we've spread ourselves around quite a bit this year, trying to get some roads chip sealed. Some of our test roads we put the roto-milled asphalt down on. As far as the coming 3 months, we're still working on final gradings for fall now, trying to get all the roads in shape for winter. When it starts raining, hopefully they'll be in good shape and we'll handle the water with drainage facilities. Working on drainage culverts and drainage work in Dameron Valley and Diamond Valley. They've got to get back to that we've been working on and off for a couple of years since the last big storms up there, and we want to try and get more of that stuff finished. Working on building their materials building out to the road shed. It'll store their cold mix asphalt, salt and cinder, keep it out of the weather so it doesn't oxidize and get rained on and diluted and run off that way. And then we've still got roads and stuff to grade on as first storm we get. We'll be into the snow season and we'll be worried about snowfall and grading roads in. So we've got plenty to do. If you've got anything else we can help with, why let us know.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Ron. I do have one concern. I know that in the St. George area, we've gone 126 days today without any measurable precip, and I expect we've had areas in the county that have had some rain, but generally it's way, way, way down. This is the longest drought period in 45 years. And so some of these ditches and things like that have a real possibility of getting sage and woodier growth in them if we have these longer periods. That will take probably some vigilance as this rain will come, that we don't have the flooding. And I'm glad it's given Todd and you a respite from dealing with immediate floods this year. You've had a lot on your plates, but anyway, thank you for the great service and the great work that you're all doing.
Thanks. They'll work on those drainage features as they do the road grading along the edges of them. They'll try and shape borrow ditches and keep them clean where they turn out and go down into the washes and stuff, and through the subdivisions, try and keep them moving through the borrow ditches to where they get into the drainage ditches away from the subdivision. So
Thank you.
part of their normal work.
That eases my mind a bit that you're doing that.
Thank you, Ron.
That completes item 9, and the final item on our agenda is Commissioner's Report. We'll begin with Nicole. If you have anything that you don't have to, but if you have anything you want to report on, maybe the Boulevard project, parking lot, when we'll be able to actually park on it would be cool to know.
So if the rope hasn't been, and the cones haven't been taken away, it will be tomorrow morning, so we should be able to park there again. So I think that the parking lot that we did to prepare for that did a wonderful job for just the employees and the citizens of the county to just allow us to have parking. And I feel like we just all squeezed in and tried to find good parking space, but this will just be a real benefit for the county. So anyways, we're excited about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Well, Victor and I were last week discussing all kinds of things, mostly with the Utah County Board, where he presides as president over UAC. But I think the best time that we had up there was when one of the candidates for governor is Lieutenant Governor Spencer Cox. And I felt like for the first time really got what our issues are, Southern Utah and especially Washington County, and in particular the commitment to our water issues. And Chairman Cox mentions the lack of water we've had. And following spring, where everyone was saying, oh, you've got plenty of water down there. Well, this only shows that it comes and is unpredictable, and then one day you don't have any. But it was the information that he gave us as to exactly his commitment to our water issue down here, and that will be a refreshing thing to have someone really come through with helping us to provide water that we need.
We're a rapidly growing area, and our rainfall really
Predictable.
comes in variable packages. We can go dry and then get wet. Makes it a real challenge. Okay, well, thank you for your attendance, and commissioners for your input and effort. Brian, for your great legal expertise, and we will, I just have
Adjourn.
to do that. We will declare the meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Kevin, I didn't ask, but did you have anything that you wanted to report on? I forgot.
No, nothing overall.
Okay, Kevin is Assistant Chief in Hurricane Valley, and we appreciate the great working relationship that we have with you.